So they appreciate, I can say that they appreciate the opportunity to be involved in such things.
During the trip to Vietnam this year to attend the 39th International Physics Olympiad, Professor Tran Thanh and Nobel laureate Jerome Friedman had an interesting exchange with students at Huế University. The brief talk, which was initially scheduled for 100 selected students to attend, had to be lengthened for Dr. Friedman to field more questions from 50 and others kept coming in. All the students wanted to take this opportunity to learn about practical life experiences in scientific research. The meeting is a long-awaited event of the Huế University, one of the 10 universities in Vietnam taking the lead in training of physics.
Em thấy cái buổi giao lưu này cũng rất là quan trọng và rất là bổ ích. Tại vì thông qua cái buổi giao lưu này thì chúng em được tìm hiểu rất nhiều về những cái lĩnh vực vật lý mà thầy đang nghiên cứu. Và qua đó chúng em cũng biết được một cái phần nào về cái cuộc đời và sự nghiệp của thầy. Mặc dù là rất là gian khó nhưng mà thầy đã cố gắng nỗ lực để vươn lên. Và chúng em nghĩ là từ cái điều đó mà mình phải tạo một cái động lực thật là mạnh mẽ hơn để mà mình sẽ cố gắng đạt được nhiều thành quả cao hơn nữa.
Professor Friedman also shared his world experience in training good scientists. He said most countries support certain amount of basic research because that's how they can attract the best minds. He added many who do basic research also ended up in inventing important things. The talk instilled a great interest for science for both the teachers and students.
Thì đây cũng là một cơ hội để tôi cho rằng là một cơ hội để làm cho cán bộ giảng dạy và sinh viên của Huế nó có một cái hun đúc lên một cái tình yêu với cái nghề nghiệp mà mình đang theo, và hy vọng rằng là các em sinh viên qua đó sẽ học tập được những cái bài học rút ra từ cái cuộc đời của giáo sư Friedman và sẽ có những cái bước phát triển tốt hơn trong cái sự nghiệp học tập và nghiên cứu khoa học của mình.
The talk presented a golden opportunity for Huế University to meet with international scientists and develop cooperation with reputable universities in the world, an important tool to improve teaching quality and catch up with the world science arena.
Now, this trip to Vietnam, Dr. Van and Professor Friedman did some tours around the country. Now, I think that there was an interesting exchange with the students at Huế University. Is
Correct.
that right?
That's correct.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, because the younger generation, what do you think about that?
Well, I gave a lecture there, and it was a very biographical lecture because I wanted to tell the students how I was able to develop and what problems I had.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it was not always easy for me as I developed,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to let the students know that they should not be discouraged because there are always problems in your way, and the point is you have to overcome the problems if you ever want to accomplish something.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the message. I told them a little bit about science, and I must say I thought the questions were very incisive questions, excellent questions, indicated to me a high degree of interest, and I think the students are just longing for interaction
Mm-hmm.
with science and scientists.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the more that one can do this, the better it is for the students, because I think it's the sort of thing that can help inspire them. And I think Professor Van has done a fantastic job in arranging for people to do this.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy for him to do it because there are so many complications in making schedules. You have to fit this in and fit that in. But it really will pay off in the long run. There's no question in my mind. I mean, some students came up to me and said, you know, after hearing about my story, they were very encouraged. They would, you know, they're not.
They got that bit of hope.
Yeah, that's right. Because I said to them, look, if anybody saw me when I was a young person and ever said I was going to win a Nobel Prize, somebody would said they're out of their minds.
But it's possible.
It's not possible. So, you know, in a certain sense, I say if I could do it, they can do it. It's a question of application, dedication, and doing something that you truly love. And that's really the message I really wanted to get to them.
Now, Dr. Van, when you met these students Do you see something similar in them to yourself?
I have the opportunity to meet students in Dong Hoi in what we call the high school for gifted children, and there I was also very impressed by their dedication. And in Dong Hoi, I was impressed by the fact that one of the students there, you know, Dong Hoi, it is a small town.
Small town.
It is not like Hanoi where you have very famous, very good professor. In Dong Hoi, there is not such opportunity. And in Dong Hoi, we have one student who have been selected, and after that pass an exam and be admitted in the most famous French school, the École Polytechnique. And École Polytechnique is the best school in France. And I think this also is a proof of what people in Dong Hoi can do. The student in a small town, but if they are dedicated to work, to science, and they can succeed.
They can succeed, even without the resources like some people have.
Yeah.
They can succeed. Now, as a scientist yourself, an American scientist, and you have been very successful in your field, being a Nobel laureate, there are many exchanges between, you said now you're touring and to give lectures and whatnot. What kind of experiences can you share with Vietnamese colleagues, such as Dr. Hieu? What kind of experience can you share
Well, the experiences I have are following. First of all, I think that Vietnam should do everything it can to establish international connections in science. And in fact, that's advice I give to every country. It's not just Vietnam, because science is international, and the scientists from each nation learn much from the scientists of other nations, and so I think that's very important. I think establishing scientific centers in Vietnam would be a very productive thing to do, to bring scientists, to Vietnam. It's much cheaper, much less expensive to bring scientists to Vietnam than to send scientists to other places. So if one had international, let's say an international center here, one could actually bring some of the world's best scientists here, have Vietnamese students interact with them, have Vietnamese scientists interact with them. It would be a very effective thing. So that's one thing. I think the thing is that Vietnam should make an attempt to send students, young postdocs overseas whenever possible, just to essentially learn the best practices going on in other parts of the world. But also to have really good opportunities to draw them back. It's very important to have opportunities to draw young people back, because if you train somebody to be a really good scientist, that person wants to do good science. And if you don't give that person opportunities to do good science, that person will go where the science can be done. So I think it's very important that Vietnamese as a society provide young people with such opportunities. And the thing I'd want to say about that is, people always say, well, Vietnam is still a poor country and can't afford it. But you see, this is not a cost, it's an investment. There's a return to it. And if Vietnam can only really continue its progress, its economic progress, with increased science and technology.
And increased brain power for that,
And brain power. And brain power is the most valuable resource you have in a society.
According to Professor Tran Thanh, Vietnam